Hello and welcome back to the Footballing Question, Season 4, Episode 28. I believe we're still going strong into our final weeks of our season on the podcast. Anyway, it's just me and Isaac this week. Jordan was partying way too hard yesterday and he hasn't been able to make this episode. Isaac, my intro question for you, apart from Leicester, who have you been the most happy to win the Premier League in the last 10 years? Now, it's quite difficult with both Arsenal fans, and apart from Leicester, all the other Premier League winners are kind of our rivals. I've got my pick. I will kick off.
You can kick off, yeah.
Whilst you have a little think, it's obviously not Manchester City. We'll get on to how dull I think they are, but it's not Manchester United because, it's just not Manchester United. They have one title in the last 10 years when you think about it.
Yeah.
It's not Chelsea either, which leaves, I believe, only Liverpool.
Yeah.
Definitely. I was actually quite pleased with Liverpool, not only because it broke Man City's kind of dominance.
It would have been 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
So they stopped them from doing it. Obviously, they've done it now.
Mm-hmm. So,
Sorry.
As much as it is Liverpool and they are Arsenal's rivals, I was actually quite happy for them. A little bit indifferent. They broke their 30-year reign without a title. It was quite nice to see.
I think Liverpool's a very obvious answer. And I think, I think a lot of Arsenal fans and Liverpool fans have a lot to talk about because we've both been in this scenario where all that stands between success is Man City. But there's one other one, and this may be a shock, but 2017, I think Chelsea, because if they didn't win the league that year, Tottenham, with their very good side, they got around 85 points. That is enough to win the league title in some seasons. Mm-hmm. So, well done. You stopped Tottenham from winning the title.
That's another way to look at it.
But I think I would go Liverpool. I think I would because that team, genuinely, it's so, for Liverpool fans, it must be irritating. They, for 3 years, were one of the best teams in Europe, maybe the second best team in the world. But Man City, they could have done a three-peat, 3 titles in a row, but they didn't because Man City are in the way.
Yeah, they genuinely could have. And talking to Man City, we alluded to it before, but Manchester City have just won the treble, the first treble in English football since 1999. They won the Premier League. They tipped Arsenal to the Premier League. Yep. They tipped Manchester United to the FA Cup. And now they've beaten Inter Milan on Saturday night 1-0 to win the Champions League. And, it's an amazing feat for any football club. But I just feel like no one really cares. Isaac, what are your opinions?
I mean, I think people care, but maybe not in the way that you think. We care in a way where it's just we don't. We're just kind of apathetic towards it, and it doesn't feel the same. The moment that full-time whistle went, you didn't feel something.
No, it wasn't oh my God, Man City have won the treble.
No,
it's kind of it's over now.
And I'll be honest, because of we don't want to mention it because I know Man City fans will get on your backs, but the amount of money which has gone in, the charges, it doesn't feel authentic. It doesn't feel right. I saw BT Sports say it's a fairy tale, and I went, what kind of fairy tale is this?
No.
I've always said this, if you're taken over by who they've been taken over by, and you go from where you were to where you are now. Money is the pure reason. Luck is money and just someone picking you, the reason why you're there. Then a fairy tale is a game at Wembley which happened within the last month, which is Luton. That's a fairy tale. Yeah. I think Leicester winning the Premier League, that's a fairy tale. I think Wrexham going up, sure, they got owners, but they just got normal owners. They didn't get a state. Yeah. Wrexham, I mean, there's many conversations about that, but I think that's way more of a fairy tale than
Brighton getting Europe.
Brighton getting Europe.
Villa getting Europe.
Exactly. It's just Man City. It just doesn't feel like the reason why people want them to win the league every year is because they don't care. Because they care about all the other teams in the league because they've got these historic rivalries.
Yeah.
And I mean, you saw Man United fans; they're their local rivals, and they don't really care.
No.
But now they've won the treble. They probably do now because basically it's put theirs in the water. But the thing is, I don't know.
I mean, obviously the mainstream media, they're hyping it up just as much as when Manchester United won the treble.
I mean,
and when you compare the two, Man United in the 90s obviously also pumped money into the club. Right?
I know, but that was from generating their own revenue as a big club.
How much of that Manchester United side was full of the class of 92? You know, they were homegrown players.
You know, it's a fairly pretty English 11. Obviously, they still sign talent, but most of that was signed English, like Sheringham. And
how much of the Man City treble-winning side came through their academy?
Just Foden.
Foden.
And he doesn't start.
There's probably a couple of other players.
Oh, well, Rico Lewis.
Yeah, Rico Lewis. And that is about it, and that's the main thing. We can talk about these allegations all day long and how they've cheated their way to success and all these allegations. But what it really comes down to is the feeling that you get when that club wins, right? And what it actually does to you. And if there's no feeling there, it's not going to mean anything at all. If Manchester United go and win the treble this year, or if Liverpool go and win the treble this year, or if Tottenham go and win the treble this year, it's going to hurt so much. But Man City win the treble, it kind of just feels like I'm not bothered. I'm okay, fair enough. I'd rather them not win it, but it's really like...
I mean, I remember Liverpool after the quadruple last year, and they had a week to win. They had a 2-week period where the quadruple was on, because on the final day they could have won the title.
Yeah.
If City did lose to Villa, which it looked like they might have done, and then they didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And Liverpool could have realistically done the quadruple. And with that team, with that fan base, that history, with the likes of like Trent in there, and and it's the fact that clubs have to work hard. The way, look, we all need to realise clubs go through cycles.
Yeah.
Your clubs won't always be at the top, your clubs won't always be at the bottom. That's what I accepted as an Arsenal fan, because I went, you know what, we're going for a super bad patch, but I do think at some point we will get back there. And now we are probably seeing that. We're seeing that. Liverpool fans may go down a little bit, but they'll get back. And that's the way it works. But with Man City, it's like they've just got this cheat code to beat the cycle, which is the unlimited funds. And I've seen someone say this, which is that since Pep came in, they've actually got like the 4th best net spend in the league. It's not even the best. I went, first of all, net spend isn't the correct thing, because that net spend takes in how much you're selling, which basically is criticising clubs like Arsenal because we can't sell for crap, but they're quite good at it. But so much money has been invested from the beginning, and it's just, it's just you can't really compete with it.
Yeah, and
who do they sign in the summer?
Yeah,
it's not a side which you can do, but do you know what they could do? And this would be bloody a big sign of what they are. They could, because Arsenal are in for Declan Rice, they could easily just go, oh, here, we'll just put another 20 million on that, just to stop him from signing for them. They could easily do something like that.
And then they guarantee the title for next season.
Exactly.
Season after that.
It's just...
it is...
They spent 50 mil on Calvin Phillips, 50 million.
For a player that
they knew would barely ever start. They can just do that.
And that's what the difference is as well. And you know what it feels like? It feels like back in the day on FIFA, when you'd start a career mode and you've got all these financial takeovers saved up on your EA points or whatever it's called, and you just go, we'll have 3 of those, and suddenly you've got 400 million, and you win the treble, and you kind of sit there and you're like,
doesn't feel nice.
Obviously, I've won the treble.
Losing games, going through hardship feels nice. But there's one thing I will say, and it's what a lot of Arsenal fans have said. Now they've won the treble, what is the only unique thing a team has done in England?
Yeah, it's the Invincibles.
The Invincibles. It turns out going unbeaten is harder than winning the treble.
Yeah.
It turns out that's actually harder. So
exactly. And also, right, it's one thing we've got to consider about Manchester City.
Yeah.
Right. You cannot take away from the fact that they are playing some unbelievable football.
Oh yeah, it's like they've got amazing. I'm not going to have a go at their players. Their players are amazing.
Their managers.
Their managers. Fantastic. Pep Guardiola. I'm sorry, but I think this seals that he is probably the best manager of all time.
Yeah.
Because
arguably.
He's gone over and rewritten the books in England, and he's made in Germany, I don't think it worked out to the same extent. He still won the league every year, don't get me wrong. But the sheer dominance with this Man City side is kind of unparalleled in any era of football. To win the treble with Barca, to win the treble with City, it's
remarkable.
It's what it is. I think this cements him as the best manager of all time.
That's a debate for another time.
I think I think it puts him above Jose now, 100%. He is now clear above Jose.
Everyone forgets about Ancelotti, but that
I think that's right. He's a good manager, but I think now it's Pep v Sir Alex,
potentially, and that's a discussion for another time. But I mean, it's just a feeling that you get when you watch Man City. Okay, sometimes it's like, wow, that is some good stuff, but you're kind of just a little bit bored. And I was thinking about this earlier. Who is playing better football right now, and who would win in a match? Man City's treble-winning side, the side they've got right now, or Arsenal Invincibles? In my mind, Man City trebles, they easily play better football than Arsenal.
I don't...
Easily.
The Invincibles, I think it's because it's a different era.
Exactly.
It's a different era. I think players are way more athletic now.
Yeah.
Even, I think Henry, would have a great game against that defence still.
Yeah.
Henry's one of a kind. Perez is one of a kind. Bergkamp's one of a kind. But
But it's the feeling that you get
I
from
don't
both
know.
sides.
It's just there's a certain electricity to players nowadays. There's a certain you put the players from this era against any team 20 years ago, they outrun them. It's just the way the game's going. Players are way more fit, way more agile.
But compare the feeling of what that side gave so many fans in 2004 to what this Man City side does now. People talk about the Invincibles like so many other clubs actually really respect them.
The whole thing is that when clubs do these big achievements, like the Invincibles, like the Champions League, like the treble, it's like you're fighting to reach the top of a mountain. It's like you can see the players are trying the best, and it's like this impossible feat, and they're doing it. That's what '99 felt like. It was just like, yes, we did it. We may never do this again, and we've done it. The Invincibles felt like that. They were clinging on and just about and did it. This team, everyone's talked about. Everyone's been mocking them for not winning the Champions League for a while.
Yeah.
That's how it feels. It's like, oh, well done, you finally did it, because you should be winning it.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like they've gone, oh, we're just about to get it. Thank God. For all we know, they might win it next season.
It's a strange time. It really is a strange time. But I think, there's only so many times we can say that no one cares about. Well, no one cares, but it hasn't generated quite the
No.
feeling.
I know one City fan. I know he's going to rub it in my face. Which I don't think he will. I think he's a bit elated with joy because he was there.
And there are some great City fans.
And I'm happy for him, personally, because he's just had one of the best moments of his life.
Yeah.
But, when the game finished, I just went back upstairs and played a bit of FIFA. But, ironically, I was playing career mode. But I was actually playing a difficult one because I was playing in League 2 with my local side, which I made up. But, it's just weird with Man City. It just doesn't feel... Like, as soon as that game finished, I went, right, transfer season, let's go.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's not going to settle in. Maybe because we don't have an inherent rivalry with Man City, we don't really feel it as much.
But then why does no one really?
Man United fans feel it. I think Man United fans are the only ones who are really feeling this right now.
Yeah, and even them, it's kind of like they'd rather Man City win the treble than Liverpool. Undoubtedly they
would.
Something I'd quite like to talk about is UEFA. Just quickly, have you seen? And I don't know because obviously your flatmate Charlie went to Istanbul, watched the Champions League final as a Man City fan. Did he talk about how horrific the hospitality?
I haven't talked to him since. He said he hasn't. His network was actually awful on the day. We all thought he was dead. His plane had crashed or whatever. And then in the morning, all of his snaps came up. So I saw him at the final. He filmed the moment they won it from the corner, all that stuff. God, I hate Lukaku so much.
Yeah.
He hasn't really talked about that. But I did hear from, obviously because of last year's final in Liverpool, I heard that with all the European finals this year, they were encouraging people to get in there 6 hours early.
Yeah, that's horrific. It's kind of, UEFA have got a horrific track record over the last few years, and God knows how far this goes back, but Nick Stapleton on Twitter put out a really kind of just a summarisation of all the things that Man City fans and Inter Milan fans presumably had to go through to watch this final. 2 hours on a bus from the town to go and watch the match. There was no water allowed or toilets on the bus for 2 hours. The fan zones where the fan zones stopped serving beers 3 hours before kickoff. What is that about? So you have to be there. The game presumably started at 8.
It's 10 o'clock. That time zone.
You stop drinking at 5, and I know it's not their culture.
7.
Sorry.
Well, 5 here.
Yeah. I know it's their culture, but that is just strange. Apparently, there were only 2 stalls in the whole stadium for food and drink for 20,000 fans. I don't know how that works out, but
wait. There were only 20,000 fans in that stadium.
I think in the fan zone there was 20,000 fans. And this guy, Nick Stapleton, is claiming that there was only 2 stalls for food and drink. So the queues, I'm looking at a picture here, were outrageous. I think there's also another thing about toilets. There were no Portaloo toilets in the fan zone, other than some RVs with single loos in them. And so, he says it here, good luck to any of the females who spent ages queuing and then had to go for a single loo that about, 400 men have just used. Yeah, it was just unreal, and then I think there was barely any coaches to actually get back from the stadium. Taxi drivers obviously charging about €200 for a trip back.
I don't know if I can remember exactly, but I think after the game, he put on his story like never going to Istanbul again.
Yeah, no.
And I was just like, I don't know what that's about, but sure.
It was just horrific. I think people were advised not to use the metro, and this guy was saying that he had to walk ages, and then he found a motorway, and then he had to walk through traffic on a motorway to then get a taxi, which he got ripped off for.
I mean, the thing is, I think you need to make sure when you book these Champions League finals that they're in cities where, you know, it's very not I wouldn't say welcoming, because that sounds like a cultural thing, but like it's got good links for people to come in from other countries. That's what's gonna, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
You know, that's exactly what's gonna happen, and you need to expect it.
Arsenal's contract situation. David Ornstein reporting recently that William Saliba is about to or has signed a 4-year contract extension. Isaac, how are you feeling about that?
Genuinely, I've heard someone say this. I think it was on the Gooner Talk, which is a channel I watch a lot, and I agree with their opinion, which is that this is the best business Arsenal will do this summer.
Yes.
Signing, because there's a lot of players in our team, and there's a lot of signings which we want, like Declan Rice. I think you can get players, that there are backup options for Declan Rice. I don't think there's a backup option for William Saliba. I think he's one of the most irreplaceable players in that Arsenal side, and it's so rare you get someone that good at that age, and they will still improve. Physically, you know, Jesus Christ. I remember when we signed him when he was 18, and he had a deep voice, and he was 6'4", and I thought, God.
Yeah.
It's such an amazing signing to get him on till 2027. I don't know if there's a year option add-on, but I don't know. But we're signing a lot of our talent on, and not just him. You know, in the last year, we've signed Martinelli onto a long-term contract, Gabriel, Saka, Ramsdale recently, and it looks like we're going to sign Nelson on, and also looks like Martin Odegaard we're going to sign on, and that is a vast improvement to where Arsenal were recently. You know, you had the likes. I remember, I think 2018, Sanchez was going out in the summer, Ozil was going out, Wilshere was going out. And that was a
massive cause for anxiety in over the last 10
and then
years.
the year after that, Ramsey was. And it, you know,
do you remember the Theo Walcott saga? For years,
every time he signed a contract, it went down to the final year.
Yeah.
And every time we were begging him, and it was just like, all you're doing is you're giving the players the power to get whatever money they want. Because if you let a contract go down, they have all the power. They can go, well, I can go to this club for free, or you give me exactly the money I want. And that's what it leads to. And if you do them this early, and also it's very good signing them now, because the club's at a very good point, there's a lot of positivity, they're going to be more willing to do it. William Saliba took a long time. I think his injury didn't help. I think also his history of Arsenal and the loans and stuff, the fact that this season he's proved how much of an asset he is. Yeah. He obviously has the right to kind of put in place, I probably deserve the top, like one of the top wages. And
he does, and I was worried for years. I mean, for people that don't know, Arsenal signed William Saliba back in 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
And it was already agreed with Saint Etienne that we would sign him, and then he would spend the following season on loan. And then he was due to come back, and I remember him playing a
we didn't register him in the Premier League in his second season. This is the insane bit. We registered him in his first season. Unai Emery. This is the best thing Unai Emery has ever done. He registered him as part of our Premier League squad in his first season, even though he was on loan, because he was 18. And if you're 18 or younger and you're resting in the Premier League squad, after a few years, you count as homegrown.
Okay.
So William Saliba does count as a homegrown player because he did that. So it's the best thing Unai Emery ever did. But season after that, with Arteta, he wasn't registered. I think what happened was we were trying to get him on a loan deal, and nothing would stick, nothing would work, nothing was agreed, and then, out of nowhere, the Premier League started, and William Saliba can't play.
No.
And he played in like the Papa Johns. I think he got like a red card against like Gillingham.
Yeah, it wasn't great, was it?
And then
he went on loan to Marseille.
No, he went to Nice that season.
He went to Nice.
He went to Nice, had a good time there, and then the season after that, I thought, are we gonna see Saliba?
Yeah.
No, and then he went to Marseille then, and at that point, I genuinely thought, this is it. This feels like he's just like the first loan made sense, but it got to the point where I didn't think he'd ever play. And then this summer started, and I saw him pre-season playing, and I was like, okay, he's actually playing now. He's actually getting game time. Is he going to start every game? And then the first game this season, I mean, he got man of the match in his Premier League debut.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
And he's unbelievable. He's I said this the moment I saw him. First time I saw him play was Emirates Cup last year, and I just said he's a Rolls Royce for centre back. Just the composure, the the confidence of him. Not only is he great aerially, like the way he can just get the ball off and just go around and attack it with ease. He's just calm as you like as a defender.
He's a fantastic defender.
He's
a defender that I see at the, hopefully he stays for this,
I'll be honest,
contract.
out of all the players at Arsenal, if I could see one going, I could see Saliba going.
Yeah, and I do. But, what would really suit, and I can see this happening, he stays at Arsenal for this contract. And then potentially
maybe signs on a new one, and then 2 years into that,
and he goes to Madrid.
Or he 100%. I 100% think he can.
Yeah,
100%, because he's just.
So if Rudiger can sign for Madrid, Saliba can sign for Madrid.
Oh yeah, so, I think like the market for young centre backs right now. I think he is the best centre back of his age in the world.
Potentially,
I think so.
Potentially, it's hard to think of another that's on his level at his age as well. I mean, in the Premier League, he's certainly the best young defender.
I mean, he held his own against Mbappe last year.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a good sign. And when we played Man City, it didn't go well. He only played one game against Man City, but first half he dealt with Haaland pretty well, and then Haaland switched sides, and then Haaland had a great game against Gabriel.
Yeah,
but
something I also want to point out as well. Saliba ended up missing 11 games of the last Premier League season due to injury.
Yeah,
what? So Man City finished 5 points ahead of us in the end, didn't they? I'm sorry, but if we had Saliba in that squad, I think it's very hard to argue that Arsenal wouldn't have won the league. I genuinely think we would.
I think so too. Saliba, the impact he has on this side, people do not know. And maybe if we figured out early on after he got injured that Kiwior would have been a better placement than Holding, we maybe would have still won it. But
I'm glad we gave Holding the respect he deserved to fill in that spot, because he's kind of earned it.
He's earned that by being a good. But
he
I
wasn't
think
enough.
his run of games is one of the worst runs of games he's had at one of the most times we've ever needed him. And, Saliba kind of, that injury gave him like the position to negotiate and go, well, I'm clearly one of the most important players in the squad because we've bottled the title. When I was playing, it was all but one.
Exactly,
And this entire contract situation, I have to give credit to Edu, Rich Garlic, all the people who have been employed, because we're running like a sufficient self-sustaining club.
We're running like Liverpool were running when they were approaching their success.
Yeah, we're just, everyone's on with the project. Everyone believes in what we're doing at the club, and they are all going for it. And I do think we will win a major trophy.
That was a little bit hard to go.
I was like, do I specify?
Yeah.
I think we will win a major trophy very soon.
All it takes is for Man City to drop off one season and that Premier League's ours.
I mean, the Champions League is the hardest trophy to win for them.
Yes.
So, it's not a guarantee. That's the only one where it's not a guarantee. So, why don't we just go for it?
Just go for it. Just go for it.
It's the only thing we're missing. And if we win the Champions League, no one can actually no one can banner us anymore, because we've filled in. It's like noughts and crosses. We filled in all the boxes. Filled in all the gaps. We're fine.
Hey you!
Yeah?
Yes, you!
How did you get in my house?
Do you like YouTube?
Yeah?
Sometimes find it a bit dull?
No, I love YouTube.
Then you should subscribe to the Football in Question YouTube channel.
Why?
They've got podcast clips, original content, and also they have your family hostage.
What?
Like I said, subscribe now!
If you want to see your family again, subscribe now.
Mum? The transfer window is about to open and deals are already getting well underway. Clubs are negotiating, rumours are circulating, and it's all just kicking off right now. So I thought we'd spend about 8 to 10 minutes or so just going through the latest rumours and just discussing them. I think that's very topical at the moment. One thing that has come up on Sky Sports Transfer Centre this morning, the site that everyone checks all the time as a football fan, I do anyway, Jadon Sancho to Tottenham Hotspur. What do you think about this? It's been reported by the Sunday Express. It's then been kind of posted by Sky Sports. Man United want 60 million for Sancho, and Spurs are keen on the England forward. What do you think of that?
I think that's actually quite a good move.
It
depends on how much he'd go for.
60 million.
60 million. I mean, it's less than he was paid for. Okay, let's ignore the fee. I do think he needs to leave Man United.
So do I.
And I think Tottenham, they are starting a new project with a manager, and I hate to say it, but I do think it's just going to work.
It could potentially.
I think it is a really good appointment with Postecoglou. God, I need to hear Harry Kane pronounce his name. God,
that'd be
hilarious. He might not be there to say it, but I think Sancho it's kind of signing which they need. You know, sign from above you, don't sign from below you. You know, it's always a good thing, and he's got something to prove. You know, so he'll have that thing. Whether or not he can, because I don't think he's impressed at Man United, but I think it would be a good kind of move to go for him, and I think that would make sense.
Absolutely. Next one up, Chelsea are in for Andre Onana from Inter Milan, goalkeeper. It's not that exciting.
Here's the thing. I think he had an amazing game.
Yeah.
In the Champions League final, I think he was superb. The amount of times where I saw him on the ball and Haaland was like 2 feet away from him, and he didn't. I was like, he's going to get tackled, but he was calm on the ball. He had a fantastic match. I don't know if it's that great a move personally, because what they want is they want someone ground the ball, and I think he's better on the ball than the 2 keepers they have.
Yes.
But the thing is, at that point, you've got 3 keepers, which you've all spent a lot of money on.
Yeah, and
none of them are happy with being number 2. And obviously, I think if they sign an Onana, they're going to sell one. They'll probably sell Mendy, I think, or maybe they'll sell Kepa.
Yeah.
But like, is Mendy happy with being number 2? He was UEFA goalkeeper of the year 2 years ago.
Exactly.
Like, he's not going to be happy with it, and it's just a bit of a mess because they've just spent so much in that position in such a short amount of time. When you sign a keeper, you kind of don't want to have to sign another big keeper for about 6 or 7 years. And that's why Arsenal signed Ramsdale. It's like, the idea is, you are our number 1 for about 10 years. That's what we want from you. And that's what you want as a club.
Exactly.
It's a position you want sorted before every single other one. And it just feels like they've really been not great at employing a long-term goalkeeper recently.
Next up, I want to talk about James Maddison. Obviously, Leicester got relegated this season. I'm not quite sure who he's linked to. He's linked
to Newcastle. I think are best place to sign him.
That's fantastic.
That's what I saw this morning. I saw Tottenham also looking at him.
He created the 3rd most chances since the 2018-19 season. That's still an unbelievable
That's
stat.
still unbelievable. Like, statistically, he's one of the most creative players in the league. Scored a decent amount of goals for them. Was he their top scorer or joint top scorer? It's probably him or Harvey Barnes. But someone needs to pick him up. Arsenal were linked with him a few years ago. But I don't think he's not the player we need. He's not the player we need. It was either him or Odegaard, wasn't it? And then we got Odegaard. Now it looks like, I'm not going to say on the podcast, but I am 95% sure that we're getting Declan Rice. 95% sure. So I'm fairly certain.
Let's talk about Declan Rice quickly, because obviously, and he's heavily. I mean, the 3 clubs in for Declan Rice. I mean, Arsenal.
Well, is there 3 clubs? Is there 3 clubs? Because all the news at the moment very much seems like it's not a race.
No.
The news coming out of West Ham is they want a bidding war, but the news coming out of everywhere but West Ham is every other club has pulled out.
Yeah.
Because it seems the news from Declan Rice's side is, I'm only signing for Arsenal. And do you know what's so weird? Do you know what's so weird? Hearing all of this news, seeing all from good sources that he's signed for us, and then seeing his interviews going, well, I've got 2 years on my contract. And he's very honourable. It's very honourable what he's doing, which is completely acting.
And I respect that.
He's basically pretending that the transfer window is not even open. Like, no, what's happening? This deal, according to sources, has basically been sorted for months. Not the financial deal with West Ham. That's the one that needs to be done. But the deal with Declan Rice, the terms of the player, that has basically been done for months. It was probably done before we played them away from home, which I find hilarious.
Declan Rice has been linked with big clubs for years.
I think
Manchester United were supposedly guaranteed to sign him, and then all of a sudden, Arsenal on the front runners.
The thing I find amazing is that Chelsea just seemed like the perfect destination for him. For years, he came from their youth.
Chelsea,
His best mate is Declan Rice. They love each other. They're great mates.
No, the best mate's Mason Mount.
Best mate is Mason Mount. And then
You said Declan Rice.
I'm an idiot. Best mate.
But I mean, it's outrageous the kind of pull.
In 2020, West Ham nearly went down, and I thought, right, this is when Chelsea pounce.
Yeah.
This has to be when Chelsea pounce, and they didn't. And I thought, that's odd. Like, he's perfectly placed to go there, and he would have cost about 50 million around then. I thought.
And now he's
now he's pushing 100. And a year after that, I thought, right, this is where Chelsea pounce. No, and now it got to a point where West Ham were doing well, and he was going to stay. But now he's actually won the Conference League. He's really in a good situation to leave.
Yeah. Like,
he's leaving as a captain that's won a trophy. Also, West Ham have won a trophy. They're in the Europa League. They'll get money for the Europa League, which makes it so much easier to build a team and replace him.
Yeah.
I don't think you can replace Rice with one player of that team.
No, I mean, I think I've seen West Ham are quite after João Paulinho.
Yeah.
That would be a fantastic.
That'd be an
signing.
amazing signing because I think he got the most tackles in the league last
Yeah,
season.
he was brilliant for Fulham.
Yeah.
Just finally, I think players nowadays they're attracted to, unless you're going to sign for Man City, they're attracted to a project, and they're attracted to the way that Liverpool went about.
Also, they want to know that they're wanted at that club.
Yeah.
They want to know that they have a place in that club, and I think what Arsenal have offered Declan Rice is they're pretty much promised them and just gone, look, you are the cog missing in this machine. You're going to help us improve. You're going to. I think Declan Rice starts if he signs for us. I'm going to be completely honest. Whether he starts as a 6 or as a left centre mid, which some people have touted because of his ability to dribble, but I think his defensive capabilities mean he has to go as a number 6, and I think he is. I would rather play him than Partey, just because I think Partey at times, sure, he's been a great player, but I think sometimes he just looks a bit sluggish.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't know if he has it in his tank. Maybe he's aging a little bit, but sometimes he just loses that extra bit of sharpness. And Declan Rice, he looks like a Duracell battery. Like he just doesn't stop.
Well, enough about Declan Rice for now. Another couple of players obviously linked with Arsenal's midfield. Moises Caicedo, we're reportedly going to put in another bid for him. I think that would be.
I mean, Chelsea are also in for him, and Chelsea are, unlike Declan Rice, Chelsea are heavy in for Caicedo. There's no guarantee on who signs Caicedo. If Arsenal sign him, if Arsenal signed him and Caicedo, I don't care who else we sign.
That is fantastic.
That is an amazing window.
Yeah.
That revolutionises our midfield and puts us in a very good position to challenge next season. And, if Chelsea sign him, that really, honestly, Caicedo is a top talent. How is he, 22?
Yeah.
It's genuinely, if you can sign him on for about 5 years, you've got a player on your hands.
A massive player. Another man linked, or has been linked, is Ilkay Gundogan. I think that would be an outrageous signing.
That would be a great signing.
But
I've heard some people say, oh, he's going to lack motivation because he just won the Champions League. And I've gone, players at the top of their game never lack motivation. No. Never. They don't. He won the league. He's won the league multiple times with City. He didn't stop. I think he got better over time. And he's a phenomenal talent. He's so crucial to Man City. It'd be a good signing for Arsenal, but I
don't see it happening.
I actually don't want it to happen because I'd rather Arsenal sign more younger talents.
Yeah.
I mean, we've just signed Jorginho in January, and Gundogan is so much better than Jorginho. But I just want us to.
Let's not get too overcarried away with old players.
Yeah, because he's going to demand a very high wage.
Let's be careful with that. Another rumour, Wilfried Zaha to PSG. Apparently PSG made contact with them. How boring is that?
I mean, yeah. I'll be honest, Zaha at PSG, I mean, is he going to even start? It just feels weird. I feel like Zaha not playing in England feels wrong. And I think Zaha's a top talent. And do you know what? I think he missed his chance to sign for a top club in England. He has. And that was around 2018, 2019.
I mean, he did sign for Man United. Way
wrong
play.
He wasn't at his peak. When he was properly doing good in 2018, 2019, obviously Arsenal were in for him, but he'd signed that contract which ruined everything. And they asked for 80 mil. And Arsenal instead signed Pepe. Okay, looking back, we might as well have signed Zaha.
We might as well have. But that's all under the carpet. David Raya, have we said his name right?
Yeah, David Raya. You're checking with me.
Just
Am I your foreign correspondent?
I think so. Brentford want 40 million. Spurs, who are linked with him.
I'll be honest, that is completely fair to ask for 40 mil for him.
I think it is.
Because first of all, that's how important he is to them. And secondly, I think he's a top talent. And Luis going in, signing Raya. How old's Raya?
He's not. Let me check. 27.
So he's got a decent amount of time left. I think that would be a very good signing for Tottenham.
Yeah,
that'd be a top signing.
I think so. Manchester United interested in Jordan Pickford. I don't know how reliable this is, but
everything I'm hearing about Man United is they're not prioritising a goalkeeper apparently, but which is insane.
A bit strange. But I mean, that's the transfer window for you. Hassem Aouar signed for Roma. As a decent signing. I think Roma.
It's hilarious thinking he was linked with Arsenal years ago. Every time I think of him, I think of 2021. But it's just, I don't know. He just kind of rotted a little bit at Lyon. Just didn't go when he could have done. And there's so many players like that which kind of linger and miss that big chance.
There are. Arsenal were reportedly targeting Timothy Castagne from Leicester.
Yeah, that came out yesterday. I don't want to comment on that.
Do we need a backup right back?
I think we do.
I think we do.
I think not a backup. No, not a backup. Someone who can play both sides. He can play both sides. I'd rather sign someone like. I mean, we've been linked with Simakan from Leipzig.
Yeah.
We're also linked with Sasha Bowie from Galatasaray.
And there's another player. I didn't mean to. I thought you were talking about Dominic Sazbozlai. How do you say his name?
Dominic Szoboszlai.
Szoboszlai. Is another player I want to mention just quickly to wrap up this transfer section.
Yeah.
Because Newcastle were linked with.
I think. Well,
Sazbozlai.
the thing is, he went to Bayern, didn't he? No, Leipzig. He went to Leipzig.
Leipzig, yeah.
Sorry, not Bayern. Jeez.
From
Salzburg. You know, that traditional move, which always happens year in, year out.
Yeah. Who would you, if you were Newcastle, who would you rather sign, Maddison or Sazbozlai? Because I know I'd rather sign Maddison.
I think does Maddison cost more? Because he's not in the Premier League anymore. So
Yeah.
I think you can get Maddison for 50 mil.
Yeah.
I think that's just about the right fee. And I think Szoboszlai from Leipzig, could you get him for less? I think because it's a foreign league.
Yeah, but then Maddison's
I
dropped
actually
down
think
as
you're
well.
good. But then again, Maddison's got the Prem experience, proven that he would do well.
I think Maddison.
You go
all
Maddison?
Day long. All day.
Because there's more of a guarantee.
more of a guarantee.
He's
So
on
Maddison's 26, but I'd still go Maddison.
Maddison's about to hit his prime.
Yeah, I'd still go Maddison. Final section of the episode this week. We're not going to have a quiz, mainly because I haven't written one.
Yeah.
And also because there's only two of us, so it's kind of just me quizzing Isaac. Instead, we're going to finish on an all-time 11. This 11 is players who have never reached their full potential. Now, some positions are a little bit tricky.
Defence. The
Defence
defence is absolutely
Let's get them
impossible.
out of the way, though.
Can I say, I'm going 3 at the back.
Okay, that's fine. We can work around that. We can work
I
around.
can't name 3. I know you've got one I don't have, and
Yes.
I've got one you don't have. At least.
Let's start with goalkeeper. Have you got anyone in mind?
Jack Butland.
Yeah,
I think
that's a great one.
he was. There was a point in time where it was just like expected that he'd replace Joe Hart as England's number 1.
Yeah.
And then everything after that injury in the game against Germany, we won 3-2
Right.
in Berlin. Everything after that, he never got a kick again for England. You know, Stoke went down. And when Stoke went down, you thought, oh, okay, he'll get a good... And he never got that good move.
No.
If you told Man United fans in 2016, Jack Butland will play for your club at some point, they'd be over the moon. They'd be like, oh, he's the De Gea replacement. But in this context, maybe not the best.
No.
He just didn't fulfil that. I mean, injuries really plagued him, so, yeah.
I'm happy to go with Jack Butland, mainly because I was just struggling.
Who was your
with-
goalkeeper?
Yeah, I didn't have one.
Didn't have one.
So I think I think we should just go through defenders at this point. And my main defender that I don't think you have
Yeah.
is Phil Jones.
Oh, my
Phil
God.
Jones, back in the day.
That's a great one.
Phil Jones back in the day when he burst on the scene for Manchester United.
Yeah.
Phil Jones was touted as, when they look at a future England 11s who's going to win the World Cup or who's going to be in the England's World Cup squad. Phil Jones was on that list, every single one of those lists.
I remember in 2014, I think it was on AFTV, they were interviewing Adam McCullough, and he went, Phil Jones, future England captain.
Yeah, I think by 2014 that ship had sailed.
Yeah, I know, which is why the Arsenal fans were laughing at him.
Yeah.
But yeah,
back
he had a lot of talent. I mean, Sir Alex had said so much about him, so much about his talent, how capable he is as a footballer, and it just never really worked out.
So I'm very happy to go Phil
Okay.
Jones. I think that's an excellent
I've got, as well, the one that you know I have, Micah Richards as
Yes.
well, in our back 3.
Right. So here's
Obviously, another player who burst onto the scene with England and Man City, playing for them really young, won the league, won the FA Cup with Man City, and then after that he just doesn't really stay.
No.
He goes to Fiorentina on loan.
I think because Zabaleta comes into Man City, it kind of.
He didn't. He famously didn't start the game on as well because Zabaleta obviously scored.
Yeah.
But Mike Richards went to Fiorentina on loan, and he went to Villa, and then he stayed at Villa a few times, got a ton of injuries, and just retired at pretty much 30.
Very early.
He retired extremely young.
Yeah.
And he retired when they were still in the Championship before they got back up. And you just felt like with the way his career started at Man City, that he could have, carried on.
Really pushed on. I think another player that I want to mention, I think Micah Richards is our pick for like that kind of right-sided defending role. But I think Nathaniel Klein was also quite a big. That's who I had on my list. But the potential, I think, of Richards compared to Klein, I think Richards had a higher potential.
He got called up for England.
Yes.
It's rare that you start for England at a young age, and he did.
Yeah.
And my final pick in defence, you do not have this, and you're going to kick yourself for not remembering this player. They still play. They played for Arsenal. They went on loan to Real Betis. They got released at the start of the season. It's Hector Bellerin.
Okay.
I think he was young player of the. Not young player. He was nominated for young player of the year. He was he had an amazing season in 15-16 when he was 22. Everything was set for him to be like Arsenal's right back for the next 10 years. And then he got an injury at the start of 16-17, and he came back a vegan, slower, different hairstyle, and he just wasn't the same player. I don't think being vegan was again. I don't know
That's
why,
really funny.
but I now believe, because of Hector Bellerin, I am of the firm belief that if you go vegan, you will lose your pace.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to use Hector Bellerin as proof, because he was never. I remember him in 2015. The man was rapid. Then everything after that, I was just like, oh my god, he can't run anymore.
If you want to be a pro footballer,
but
get your main sources of
once he
protein
lost
in.
his pace, I realised a lot of his ability was relying on that. But still, he had an amazing season 15-16 and just never... I mean, it's rare that you'll say this, but his prime was at the age of 22.
Yep. Yeah, no, Hector Bellerin, I think, has to be in there. So we've got Jack Butland. We've got kind of two right-sided defenders.
We've got two right
But
backs,
we're gonna go with
centre
that.
back, but we just had to get them in.
Yeah, Hector Bellerin, Mika Richards, Phil Jones.
I think that's fair.
I'm happy with that.
Okay, now, I'm going to be honest. I have 5 midfielders and 2
Right,
strikers.
okay,
I'm going
alright.
3-5-2. Okay.
All right, well, I think we should start with kind of 3 central players
Okay,
that we want to get in there.
funny enough, I do have 3 central players.
Yeah, so do I. So I think let's say one that we know that's definitely going to be in there at the same time. We both got him. He's my hero. He should have gone to the World Cup. You know who he is. Come on, you know who he is. You know who he is.
Should have gone to the World Cup.
Yeah, remember my famous.
Oh, okay.
So 3, 2, 1. Jack
Wilshere.
Wilshere. Yeah,
Yeah.
right. Okay, Jack Wilshere's got to be in there. He was
Jack Wilshere was in mine as well.
Yeah, I mean, I keep saying burst onto the scene. And it's getting old now,
but he did.
Yeah.
In terms of the performance against Barcelona, starting for Arsenal at such young age,
Yep.
and then he got one injury on his ankle.
Taking
and
that
then
number 10 shirt from Van Persie as
yeah,
well.
at a young age, and if he didn't get those injuries, what could have been?
Yeah.
In terms of the quality.
And that people don't realise, but his last season for Arsenal was unbelievable.
Like, he
It's
still
fantastic.
had a very good season
Yeah.
for Arsenal in 2017-18.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for once he didn't get that many injuries. For once he was actually playing well. He wasn't scoring that many goals, but in terms of the way he was playing, it was like finally we're seeing it again.
Yeah. And if only Unai Emery wasn't our next manager and he had a place in that team, what could have been maybe. But Jack Wilshere's got to be in there. My other midfielder, because this is a European field, we're not just going Premier League.
Yeah.
Right. My other midfielder, Mario Götze. I think for me he's a midfielder. It's an attacking midfielder. But
Yeah.
I think Götze has to be in there.
I have one player who isn't mainly Premier League in here.
Is that Götze?
No, it's not. I haven't got Götze in here.
Okay.
I've actually got, if we're going to talk about attacking midfielder, I've got Dele Alli.
All right, okay.
Dele Alli, I think, is the definition of wasted potential.
Right, yeah, but let's compare the potential of Götze and Dele Alli.
Well, look, Dele Alli, in terms of the goals and assists he got in 16-17, you're
Yeah.
thinking, God, this guy's going to be like he was performing at a very similar level to Harry Kane in that season. He was scoring a lot of goals still for
He
him.
was, but Götze...
But then you got to admit, he went from that to, well, whatever it was, nothing pretty much. And now he's gone to Besiktas. Besiktas hate him. Everton don't want him.
Did Dele Alli win a World Cup and then flop off? And did he win the Golden Boy Award?
He won Young Player of the Season.
Yeah, but I think it's a tad different. What's quite easy for this team is that you just go through all the Golden Boy Awards and go who flopped, who didn't, and then put them in. But I think Götze...
That's actually a very good strategy.
I think Götze goes in over Ali.
I think Ali has to go in here.
All right,
Let's name the rest of them.
Right, so
I'll be honest, I've got one that is extremely hard. Well, not extremely hard, just a tad bit.
Go on
harsh.
then. So my other name for the centre is Ravel Morrison. But I'm quite happy to leave Ravel Morrison out because I think people talk about him
Too much,
constantly.
it's like
and it's like, who
My
are
other
you?
one is Abu Dhabi. I
Yeah.
think in terms of the potential he had, he was touted as being Vieira's replacement.
Yep.
For a couple of years, he was playing phenomenally for Arsenal.
If you're unaware of Abu Dhabi, go and watch Arsenal versus Liverpool away early in the
Champions
2010s.
He scores in the Champions League. I think it was quarter-final.
But also when we were in that purple and black kit, the stripes.
Oh yeah, that was phenomenal. And
Unbelievable
also,
performance.
he scores a goal against Aston Villa in that 2009 away from home, and it's just unbelievable. I think him and Abue linking up. But he was just a phenomenal footballer, and just injuries plagued him, and it was just so.
Yeah.
Again with Wilshere, it's just so difficult to watch because it's just like this player. If that never happened, what he would have been, and it's just such a shame.
Yeah.
But
Massive shame.
yeah, it is a bit like it didn't fulfil his potential.
Massive shame. Okay, so
Are we going?
I want to put
Let's
Diaby in.
let's name the rest, okay, and then we can in our midfield.
They're
Okay.
my three
Okay,
essentials.
Wilshere's in.
Yeah, Wilshere's in.
Diaby's in.
Yeah, I'm happy with
Okay,
that.
if I name two others, because here's the thing,
Go on.
the other two can play out wide, but they can also play central.
Right, go on.
Jesse Lingard.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that?
No, because I feel like he was never kind of like in his early 20s, and no one was really talking about
Okay.
him. And then all of a sudden he's in the United
Okay, so you
side.
agree he's not in there?
No, he's not.
Okay, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain.
Okay. All
At
right,
a
yeah,
young
he-
age,
he's
signs
young.
for Arsenal from Southampton when they were in the Championship.
Mm.
When they're in. He did sign for us when they were in the Championship.
Yeah, he did.
And, he's come in and,
He had a lot of potential.
had a lot of potential, rarely scored more than 5 goals in a season for us. But there was always that season, every season would always start and go, this is the season where he blows up. And it never really happened.
No.
And then the season he finally blew up was his final season.
Yeah.
And then he went to Liverpool for 40 mil. And his first season, everything was going well until he got injured. And then we haven't really seen him since.
No, you're right. And I mean, Chamberlain's a good shout. I just don't think he gets in over Goetze. I just don't think he does.
No, there's 5 spots in our midfield, mate.
Yeah, but I haven't said my wide players yet.
Oh, okay. Do you know what? Let's say Goetz is in on hold right now. He's on standby.
Okay. All right.
Let's
Because
name
if we're going 3-5-2, I want to my right wing, and my left wing. Right wing, I think you'll agree with me with this one. Theo Walcott.
No! I was thinking Walcott, and I still think... I'm sorry. As much as people say, I still think he did fairly decent.
He did, but I don't
the
think
amount of times he got over 20 goals, he still did. Like, you think of the players like here, they were performing and then they just massively fell off. With Walcott, I think part of it was age, part of it was injuries, but he was still performing. And
All right.
in 2016-17, which is a season before he leaves Arsenal, he put up 20 goals in all
Wow.
comps.
Well,
So I don't think so. And that was playing in a side with Sanchez and Ozil. He was still performing at quite a high level, and people seem to forget that.
in the side that won the FA Cup,
In the side that won the FA Cup. He didn't play in the FA Cup final, I think.
but he was still playing well.
But he
Yeah.
was still he still had quite a good season for goal scoring that year.
Well, okay. If you're not happy with Theo Walcott, my left-sided player, Neymar.
Bloody hell.
I don't. No.
You
Hear me
bastard.
out. Hear me
I'll be
out.
honest, I am a serial Neymar hater, and even I think that's a dick move.
Right. Okay. But it's a tough crowd to please here with this choice because you don't like Neymar. But
Yeah.
Neymar, if he's not in the generation of Messi and Ronaldo,
Wins
wins Ballon d'Ors.
Wins Ballon d'Or. Every
And
day
he
of the
never
week.
got that. And he went to PSG to kind of like
do
write
it.
his own history. And he
And-
never really got to.
And there he did it. And by
Yeah.
the time you're thinking, oh God, he's petering out, Messi joins.
Exactly. And as much as you don't like him personally, on that level,
The
he's
abil-
a phenomenal
He's a
player.
phenomenal footballer. The ability has always been there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Neymar's is a great shout for left.
I
mid.
don't. Yeah, but
He never reached his potential.
I feel like he did.
I don't think he did.
He's been in the top 3 in the Ballon d'Or. He's won the Champions League.
I don't think that's. I think
He
his
was in the
potential is-
treble-winning side. He's in one of the most iconic. He's part of probably one of the most iconic front 3 of all time.
If Rivaldo wins the Ballon d'Or, Neymar should win the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah.
I don't. How has he not? How has he not got there?
Well, it's just unfortunate. There's so many players.
Kaka won the Ballon d'Or, didn't
He was the last player to do it.
Exactly.
No, but he was the last player to do it before Messi and
he? So
Ronaldo.
if Kaka wins the Ballon d'Or and Neymar never does, that doesn't sound right to me. And for me, that's why he didn't fulfil his potential. If you don't want him in there,
I don't want him in there because
Fair
I
enough.
feel that's redefining fulfilled potential.
right? Okay.
Oh, he didn't win the Ballon d'Or. Boo bloody who? You won the Champions League. You still played at the top level. You still played in the top competition in world football year after year after year. Sure, you didn't win the World Cup, but whose fault's that?
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Boo hoo. You still won a league title. You still played with the likes of Lionel Messi. You still performed. And even though he did have injuries, he was still scoring quite a lot of goals. I think he's a top performing talent. I think, here we go.
If you want Dele Alli in there,
I think Dele Alli does go in.
I think we can have Goetze on the left.
I think Dele Alli can go on. I mean, Dele Alli.
Dele Alli can't go on the left.
Okay, fine. Goetze in off the left.
Right.
And then who's on the right? Oh, I just had a thought. No.
Should we go for our strikers and then try and work it out?
Yeah. Okay, I've got
Okay.
2 strikers.
I've got one.
You've got-
Balotelli.
Balotelli is not one of mine.
Right. Okay.
I
don't see
have
it.
2. One played for Arsenal.
Mhm.
One played for Inter Milan. The Arsenal one is Eduardo, the
Okay.
Croatian, Brazilian, whatever you want to call him. Obviously, performing great for an Arsenal side in 2008, snaps his leg, and we never hear of him again. Goes to Shakhtar Donetsk.
Yes. Yeah.
And he could have been a top talent in the Premier League, performing at the top level.
He could have been.
in the best league in the world. Didn't happen. And the other one is Adriano for Inter Milan.
Yeah.
It seemed like this guy was like the second coming of R9 for a tiny bit of time, and it just stopped out of nowhere.
I think his father died and he went through quite a lot of issues.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think another honourable mention, Alexander Pato, as well.
Ooh. What AC is class.
Robinho as well. Block Brazilians really. So I think Adriano has to go in there,
Adriano goes in.
and I think Balotelli.
Yeah, I'll say Balotelli in.
Balotelli, golden boy. as well.
God, I can see where you're getting it from.
I mean, I think he wins the Champions League with Inter Milan. He goes to City, wins the title. He's still very young. He has a lot of potential. I think he was doing well for Italy as well. He won the Euros with Italy.
Yeah, and and he was great in that tournament. And
exactly.
Also, you got the move to. I feel like you can see his career going downhill when he moves to Liverpool.
Liverpool.
The move to Liverpool is where it starts.
And to be fair, I don't think that was helped by how poor that Liverpool side was.
Yeah.
And then it just goes downhill from there.
How many goals did he score for Liverpool? Like 2?
Yeah, I remember there was like
I know he scored against Tottenham.
Yeah.
And I celebrated the hell out of it because I found it so funny.
There was that famous stat of Ricky Lambert, Barini and Balotelli. Their goal contributions in about 30 games. It was about 5 or 6. I don't know. It was just horrific. So we've got our strikers, we've got our midfield, and we've got our
left wing.
Our left wing. We need a right wing. I put forward Theo Walcott. That's not allowed. We can put Chamberlain on the right.
I think Chamberlain. Yeah, you put Walcott over Chamberlain.
I don't think Chamberlain had a very high potential.
I think he had good potential. Okay, what do you think Walcott was expected of him when he signed for Arsenal at 16?
I mean, he went. He went to the World Cup before he played a Premier League game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
That shows a lot. That shows he's going to be, playing well for England for a long time.
I think in the early stages of his Arsenal career, up to about 2011, he was performing brilliantly.
Yeah,
he was rapid, fast, good for us in the Champions League. He was a good he was our talisman, I'd say, post Van Persie, and I think he's always been a good player for Arsenal. The only bad seasons I'd say he had were 14-15. He came back from injuries. He couldn't score too many. He still scored in a cup final for Arsenal. He scored in a cup final for Arsenal.
Yeah, I remember
15-16.
Good goal.
He tried to play up front a little bit. That didn't work. And then he went back on the wing and still scored in some big games. He scored against Leicester in that game, where he won in the last minute. He's been there for Arsenal in moments. And then the season after that, scores against Antonio Conte's Chelsea. He's got a couple of goals against Tottenham. He's performed at times, and he was at Arsenal for 10 years. That's what you realise. You're going to slow down at some point. Okay. You're going to stop performing. And even in the season before he left, he put up finally his final good season and to say goodbye. And then the season after that, he leaves in January and he had a crap season. But,
Look, if we have to go with Chamberlain, I'll accept it. But I just think it's
Chamberlain
not a great shout. I just think there's got to be someone better than Chamberlain.
Well, yeah, but Theo Walcott, I think that's extremely harsh.
All right. Theo Walcott certainly did better than Chamberlain.
Yeah, Theo Walcott, I feel, maybe didn't fulfil his potential exactly, but I think he fulfilled 75%, which I think is very good. Right. Chamberlain, 50.
I think that's our 11 then. Jack Butland in goal.
Yep.
Then got Mika Richards.
Good.
Then we've got Phil Jones and Bellerin.
And then we've got Jack Wilshere, Abou Diaby, Dele Alli, Goetze off the left, Chamberlain off the right, and a front two of Adriano and Balotelli.
I think that's a very good 11.
Ironically, that's it does. Yeah. If we have them all before whatever happened, before the injuries, before they fell off, honestly, they might push for the Champions League.
Fantastic team.
To be fair, no. Michael Richards and Bellerin in the back three is not giving me good ideas.
No.
Now I think about the defence is absolutely shocking. But moving on, I think, that's our 11.
That's also been the episode of The Football in Question. Episode 28, I believe, season 4. Could be episode 30, we're not really sure. That's been mine and ours episode. I hope you've enjoyed, and we will see you